All right, welcome to the Begin to Build podcast. Today we've got Cody Lynch from Simmons Custom Granite. We've had a relationship with Simmons for 6-7 years now. Cody's my number one guy to call for anything tile, flooring, and guy's a wealth of knowledge. Today we're going to jump into this real quick. We've got everything from how important it is to pick out your tile on the front end to what that could mean for your budget and your whole scope of work on the project. To what it's like to work with different builders, different clients, whole 9 yards. So jump in some of these cool stories and let's begin to build.
My name is Jeremy Melanson, co-founder of Turnkey Custom Homes. In 2016, I set out to build a home on some land. After failing to find a builder to help me understand the process, Turnkey was born and we were new builders. Fast forward past a lot of hard lessons, long hours, and adventure-like stories, we took our side hustle to a 7-figure business where we get to show up every day and work together with our friends and family to build beautiful custom homes. This series was created to pull back the curtain and go behind the scenes of home building and give us a chance to have an open conversation about how clients and builders can work together to achieve their goals. Let's begin to build.
Our first time doing this. Neither one of us are professional podcasters, so
getting baptized in the fire.
That's it. That's it. Well, man, what's a little bit about what you do at Simmons? What's your day to day?
Yeah. So Simmons Custom Granite, we do flooring, countertops. We do quartz, marble, granite, kind of the whole nine on that, and then do flooring wise, wood, carpet, tile, LVP. We're kind of put the lipstick on the house after it's framed up and ready to go. Try to make it look pretty. My job is I'm a sales guy for them, so I cover mainly builders like yourself, stuff like that, and then about probably a little bit of retail on the backside. So, but yeah, I'm the guy that sells it and manages the job as it kind of goes, and then develop those relationships in the community, and kind of try to develop business and get it going.
Yeah, for sure. So, so you got all parts, which I think if you're going to sell anything, you should have to deal with what you're selling.
Yes.
So if you're going to sell if you're going to sell it and then hand it off to someone, then it starts creating some conflict, right? So you're selling it and meeting with the homeowner on the very first meeting.
Yes.
And then, or the builder, or whoever your contact is, and then you help plan all of it out, figure out what it is that they really want,
yes,
how you can most help them, and then you go through that process, and then you also have the relationship with the actual installers, with the suppliers. Like, this is a huge job that's put together. Like, as a builder, I think clients feel like, we just call one person and that guy's doing it. You know what I mean? But when it comes to countertops, tile work, especially any of those finishing trades, really, like any of the finishing touches you do to a house, that's what you're going to, see forever as the final product of the house. So, like that's really important to have a full team. Now, I think it's important to have a full team to go do all that because there's so much to it. So how do you manage? So you're managing the relationship with the end user, whether it's the client or the builder or a combination of both. But then you're also managing the suppliers where you're getting everything from, the contractors. What tell us a little bit about that.
Cradle to the grave, man. Start to finish, 100%. Yeah. There's a lot of spokes to the wheel on it. You've, like you said, you're first meeting with the client, and a lot of that is kind of uncovering what. A lot of times when they come in, they don't even know what they're looking for. And so a lot of times, you're meeting with them and trying to help them uncover what it is they're looking for. And what's good about kind of our concept, it's a little bit different. We have our showroom is set up to really kind of help all of their needs when it comes from, countertops, flooring, and stuff like that. So we'll have them come in and we'll kind of meet with them there and kind of have them pick out, this tile. Okay, well, does this tile coordinate with this, And so a lot of times we're kind of discovering it as we kind of go through the process and really nailing those down. And then once, we kind of get the client picked out for whatever they want, then I get to work on the operations side of it. We got to call the suppliers and kind of order things and stuff like that, kind of get that pricing and everything down, kind of within budget, whatever we need to be at. And then, from that point, of course, coordinating with the builders, and we're not the only trade that's in there at any time, and so we got to coordinate around that. Y'all do a phenomenal job of that as far as setting it up, to kind of be as seamless as possible. Of course, construction happens, you got to kind of be able to adapt, but getting that schedule set for it, and then getting the installers set up for it. So at Simmons, we don't contract anything out. We have on staff our installers for everything. We fabricate everything there at the shop, and so I kind of tell people, look, with that, a lot of people don't realize in home building until they're in the middle of it that things happen. And so, you make your bread and butter not by just doing a phenomenal job, but when things happen, how you respond to that and how quickly you can get that fixed and keep the train moving, so to speak. Because like we were saying, we're not the only trade in there working. We've got to be able to fix this quick and then allow y'all to be able to do your job with the rest of your trades. And so, a lot of it is really kind of being able to adapt to that whenever those come up. But like I like to tell people a lot of times is, because we don't outsource any of that to any other kind of companies to do the installs or anything like that. When those problems do arise in the job, you're calling one guy, which is me. And so,
exactly.
You call me and then I get to work with the installers. And so that has been a proven concept by us because, you hear those nightmares to where it's like everything's outsourced to 10 different companies and a problem goes up. Well, everybody starts pointing the finger, you did that. So.
Well, your builder's job basically is a project manager. Mm-hmm. Like I've got, as a builder, you get a question a lot. Well, do y'all have your own people or do you sub everything out? Mm-hmm. Okay. And as far as I'm aware, there is no such thing as a builder that has all of their own people. Right. I mean, you would have to have master electricians on staff. You would have to have master plumbers on staff, HVAC guys. Like, they all hold different licensing, all hold different insurances, all right. have different specialties. And if you did have them all on staff, then, you're really basically, building in that business and that price point. I don't think it would be good for anyone, builder, contractor, homeowner, like right. what supplier are they going to use? Like, there's just no way to get one expert in that area. Right. You know what I mean? So that is a really good point, and that that you made with having everybody in house, that y'all can manage that portion of the system because that's what y'all do. The countertops, the sinks, the tile work, and this is tile flooring, tile backsplash, tile showers. Like, all of it has different applications.
Absolutely.
You can stick tile on a backsplash wall. You don't have to necessarily worry about whether it's red guarded or the shower pan's right and it doesn't right. leak. The underlayment and the bed was done right and all of that. So, right. Having all of those different guys, like a tile guy is not just a tile guy, right. And so one of the things that we run into is, say that I did like, hey, can we just go to Floor and Decor and grab our tile? Yeah. It's like, okay, you can, but then who am I going to get to install it?
Right.
Well, you're the builder, just call your tile guy. Well, so say I do have an ace in the hole. Say I know your best installer. Yeah. And I've got his phone number. I met him before y'all, and he comes and helps me as a builder. Well, the one problem with that is I'm only going to call him. Say we're doing 15 houses a year. Yep. Okay, for a small regional builder, that's quite a bit of houses. As far as custom homes go. So even at that, what are you going to keep him busy on? A shower a month?
Exactly.
You don't have enough volume to keep those good guys going, and so they're going to go out to different places, and so maybe they're tied up on another job. Maybe they're not even a tile guy today. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they're like, man, this month I'm not even being a tile guy. I'm done with it. They'll be back, sometimes, but they went to their cousin's paint crew this week. They're like, I'm done with it, So what do I do now as a builder? I got to go track down another ace in the hole. Yep. And then I got to know that your shower's not going to leak. That your tile's not going to have, pits all in the grout, or that it's going to be laid crooked, or, the drain's going to, they filled the bed up and toted the drain. Now I got to bust out all this plumbing, everything else. Like I don't mind working with, like if a client comes in and wants to use their own contractor, it's like, that's great, but I don't know what the work is going to look like.
Yep.
If you do, we'll trust you. And then, it's your referral, But if I just go get a card off of a cork board at Floor and Decor, I don't know what your tile shower is going to look like,
Exactly.
And even more is like, if you take a $5,000 shower, how much of it's material?
Yep.
How much of it, is a markup to someone that's managing this whole process for them? Mm-hmm. How much of it's going to the actual tile installer? And then that actual tile installer may have 4 or 5 guys on that crew.
100%.
How much of it is going to their company? Yep. And so if you whittle all of this $5,000 down to however well this person's managing their business and how much of it actually belongs to them.
Yep.
If it's, say, $500, awesome, great for them. They got a 10%, profit off of the total price of the job, which they may not even know the total price of the job,
Right.
But say they make $500. And then 3 days later, your shower's leaking and pouring across the floor. That's another $5,000 shower.
Yes.
Even if he doesn't make any money, it's a $4,500 shower, just pure cost of labor, material, all of that. How does he pay for that?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not a good bet to take at all. I've had to replace many showers for that exact thing to happen because of that exact thing happened. Yeah, it's just not worth that risk. I've told people that before, and they, you pick up that card off that desk at, a Floor and Decor or something like that. You don't know if that guy does good work or not. You're really taking a risk for $5,000, and
how much? I mean, it's not going to be free. It's going to cost you something. So, how much money are you really saving, and why? Like, why are you saving that money? How are you saving that money? Where's it coming from is what I mean. I understand why to save money. We all want to save money, But if I'm building you a $500,000 house, and I'm going to go with this guy that I have no working knowledge of,
yep.
He doesn't have a brand behind him. He's just one guy, tools in the back of his truck. Another thing is now, am I going to call? Is my superintendent going to call and track down that Floor and Decor order? Is he going to run down there and pick it up with a big truck and a trailer and everything else? Is he going to get it back without damaging any of it? And is he going to do that for $0? Exactly. Right? Like, yes, we were hired to manage your project. We do have a markup. But does that markup cover fuel to go get that tile in a trailer rental or if they have one, all of those things. So, even if it does, when I bring that tile back in-house and that installer's short 4 boxes.
Exactly.
Then what do I do?
Yeah.
Or maybe the die-lot's not even going to match from Floor and Decor because it was something that you found on the floor that's got a 20% tag on it.
Yep.
It's marked down for a reason. They quit making tile at the wind changes direction. You can't get that tile anymore, those are other things that y'all have to manage.
Yeah. Yeah. And also too, one thing to note too, I've seen showers that have, not been installed correctly. It doesn't just ruin the shower. I've seen upstairs showers flood an entire house before because of, a bad install. So one thing that to note too is, it's a lot of times when that goes south, it's not just the shower that's affected. There's subfloors, there's sheetrock, paint, everything. And so it can turn into a nightmare really quickly if you do not have a trusted tile guy. And if you have ever been around tile, once you find a good tile installer, you better keep him because there's 100 tile guys that are ready to go to work. But man, it is definitely not recommended to go with somebody you don't know.
So if y'all have, if there's so few really quality contractors out there, which I believe that, like the skilled labor gap is real. It's a talking point. It's in the headlines. Believe it or not, skilled labor is hard to find. Yeah, people will show up for work. They'll come and carry something for you. But as far as like guys that have spent time in the trade, really cared about it, like we're in this kind of, ebb and flow through, our different economies and everything else to where we do have a skilled labor gap. So with that shortage, if a company is as large as y'all's that takes care of your people as good as you do and have so much consistent workflow,
Yep.
has a hard time finding quality guys to do the work, what chance do I have?
Yeah, it's tough, man.
What chance do I have of pulling that car? Do any of your installers have their cards stuck to Floor and Decor's corkboard? Not one, right? They are turning people down.
Yeah.
If you trim carpentry, trim carpentry is one of the very fine finishing trades. It takes a craftsman to do that,
yes.
not just a guy with a hammer.
Yes.
So those craftsmen aren't a dime a dozen, and even at the level that we are, we have a trim carpenter builds all of our cabinets, all of our trim, hangs all of our interior doors, does a fine job. Him and his small crew, doesn't have 10 different crews out there. I keep him busy with our construction brand,
yes,
full time. So a builder will call him that he's known for years. They're friends, and say, hey, I need you to bid this house. And he says, look, I don't know when I could do it. You come to me with 2 houses a year. I would love the work. I'm not turning down the work, but turnkey keeps me busy all the time.
Absolutely.
So yes, absolutely. I'll come work with you if I've got the day, but
priority.
But when
turnkey.
do I have it?
Yeah.
And so a company like y'all's that can manage those multiple teams, that's what you're getting paid for. Like that, you're not just marking something up because you know a guy. You know what I mean? Like you're keeping those folks busy. You're handling those relationships. Another thing is if my ace in the hole doesn't show up that day, who's going to come finish my shower?
Exactly.
If your guy, something happens or you can't get them or they're over busy or whatever, they're going to come. You're going to move another crew in there, and all of those crews. You vetted all those crews. I don't know. One crew may start the shower, one crew may finish the shower. That's all. Logistically, that's all on you. You handle that as an end user. I never see that. I don't know the difference. It doesn't.
Yep.
It doesn't. I know there are pros and cons to that, but you're dealing with them.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, and I've even experienced that myself. Having to, you lose a dang good tile guy, getting a new one. You got to go through that vetting process. It's tough whenever you don't have. You can have a very simple job like an easy backsplash. That's a good one. If you got a new guy, you got to try out to kind of see if he's good, trust him out. So there's the ability when you have a larger volume to be able to work with it. It allows you to vet them correctly too, and kind of go through the process. But it's known, that I always say, we can sell it all day long, but that's not what keeps a company's doors open. It's the installers.
Yeah.
Gotta have good installers, because if you don't, you're just going to be working for free. It's going to be tearing it out, and we don't do any kind of advertising or anything like that. It's all kind of word of mouth with us, and so we rely heavily on our craftsmanship to kind of speak for itself. To kind of sell it for us.
Oh man, it does. I remember. I think we'd been working together for a couple of years at that point, and Tommy Simmons and Todd Murray, they're kind of the partners of the group, right?
Yeah.
So Todd helps us a lot with our countertops and everything else. And I picked up the phone one time. I had an owner come in and say, look, my wife's not happy with the 4-inch backsplash that goes around the back of the vanity countertop.
Yeah.
I was like, no problem. Simmons is going to come fix it. This isn't a problem. I'll come check it out.
Yep. But
then when I came to check it out, man, like you had to use your fingernail to catch the edge of it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say that there weren't other jobs that had that and I never noticed it or no one noticed it. Like a lot of folks.
Yeah.
But when you're signing off on your house and this is your forever home, like you are looking at these things closer than you'll ever look at them again, than any of your guests will ever look at them. And hey, you deserve to be heard, right? Let's look through it. But I got nervous, right? Like when I saw that edge, I was like, I can't tell this guy. Yeah. It doesn't line up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I can't tell him, no, I'm not going to fix that, or hey, that's within tolerance or something like that. It's just an uncomfortable position to be in when you're like, man, this is a piece of stone laid against a mud wall. You know what I mean? Like there are some things, right? So I pick up the phone, I walk away, and I called Todd, and I was like, man, I do not want to make this phone call. And we build in some rural areas, right? So y'all drive for us, you know what I mean? And so it's about an hour and a half drive to this particular job, and I was like, man, this isn't bad, okay? But it is off. Like if you grabbed a quarter and run across there, you could catch it. And Todd said, man, homeowners need to get what they want. Yep. I want to make sure they're happy with your product, with our product. We'll fix it. I get that a lot. Don't worry about it. Send me some pictures of it. I'll let you know what I can do. And so I sent the pictures to Todd, and he calls me right back, and he's like, hell no. I'm sending that guy back up there. He's fixing that. He should have never left that job like that. That's just the level that y'all's quality is at, or your expectations are at. Right. You know what I mean? And so I was like, man, if that little gap that I was nervous about calling him about was enough to make him say, no, 100% that guy's coming to fix it, he would have fixed it anyway. He would have helped me help the client feel good about that project.
Absolutely.
But regardless, like the way he, the way he reacted, got fired up about what his brand was putting out there with that little bit of edge. I was like, okay, so their installers know what they expect, 100%. And they're going to be the ones that make sure it gets done. Whether that installer may have said, I'm not calling you back. Just take which they're not, because they need a builder too. As much as you need the installers, they need a company to keep them busy all the time. And they're not in the business to handle homeowners directly.
Right.
They're not in the business to handle builders directly. Yeah. Y'all do that. We do that, And so I thought, man, that's the thing right there is I'll never find a group of installers that I can manage like that. And even if I could, I don't have the capacity and the capability to manage them. Just like you're not managing 60 different trades working through a house. You're managing, multiple suppliers, multiple installers. But when it comes to the electrical, you call one of our guys and say, hey, this is something we need to coordinate with the electrician.
Yeah, 100%, man. One of my biggest selling points to anyone that I work with, turnkey, any other builder, whatever, I look at it as my job is to take as much work off of you as I can within my scope of work. Yeah. That's you're as busy as I am. You're not only dealing with just me. You've got other multiple trades that you're dealing with. So, if I can take all that work off of you and even more, then I'm doing my job. If I'm not, then that partnership between us, is probably not.
Then it has some strain to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, man, my main core job, what I do is I meet with folks before they ever get started. You walk into the office, I would like to build a home. Well, building a home is not this cut and dry thing. Now if you go into a Tilson or a DR Horton or something like that, you're going to choose through some floor plans that fit you. You can make some changes to them. You can customize that plan. You can pick your different countertops that they offer, the different colors. It's a true custom home. Yeah. We're going to start from scratch. We're going to start designing this thing. Like there's a lot of different components to help someone through. Yep. And the first thing that we have to do is go through the goals of what they're really wanting to do. And that includes what they're actually wanting to build, when they're wanting to build it, where they want to build it, how much they're wanting to spend on it, a plethora of things, right?
Yeah, I do not envy you. That's an art in itself right there.
Well, what the first question normally is how much is this going to cost? I'm like, well, what do you want to build? And they may have something scratched out on a piece of paper. They may have a full set of drawings. But even if they have a full set of drawings, if I handed you a full set of drawings, now full set of drawings means there's a floor plan, there's an electrical plan to see where you're going to have to deal with electrical. There is, that includes all the square footage, all the heights. There's an interior elevation, shows you how high the showers are, where the soap niches are, all of that information. Even with that, how do we get a price on the actual work? Yeah,
it's a takeoff is, you're going to obviously take those plans. I actually have a software program that I use. I upload that. I'll have you, of course, you email them over to me like you do. I upload them into the system and do a takeoff with that. And then it kind of gets a little detailed into that because it's not just throwing tile. First, we'll use a shower. It's not just throwing tile on the wall. You're prepping it. You're having to waterproof it, pan liner it in, and all that. Tape the seams and joints and everything like that. And so you gotta. It takes a while to learn that. Honestly, the easiest and best way that I was to just the first month that I was here, I went out with the guys and just saw how they did it, learned how they do it. And then once you have a good idea of what it takes to put a tile shower in. Then, you know, when you're doing your takeoff, you've got your raw materials that you've got to factor in. You've got your tile, you know, your labor and stuff like that. And then, you know, your trim work and things like that. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a process getting it figured.
Mileage on where it's located, you know, whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, you're going to take the drawings and then you're going to break out what material you need.
Yes.
You know, that's another thing. I call a tile installer. And he says, "Okay, have my material there."
Yeah. what does that look
material?
Like?
You know what I mean? Like, and then you get the material that he doesn't like.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then, well, hey, I'm doing this, and now this is this much work on me because you didn't get this, and now my price has changed to this because this wasn't what we agreed upon. You know, whole 9 yards.
And actually, too, like, you know, each builder, you know, y'all have certain ways that you like things done according to your build. Another builder, he has it a certain way too, and so, you know, you got to learn that side of it, and then you got to make sure that whatever tile guy you use, he lines up with that, and can do it exactly how do you want. Like, for instance, I've got a builder like y'all. You like your hardy flush with the rest of the wall. So with the tile goes on, it's just the tile that's on top of the wall, so to speak. You know, I have another builder. He likes to have sheetrock and then hardy on top of the sheetrock, and then tile, and then do a build out, you know, on the trim pieces on the side. So, and then, you know, some tile guys, dude, they don't go along with that, you know? And so you got to find what works, the good mesh between the companies and installers too. It's a little bit of a process there too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, just because I lay out the plans and the specs and all of that, and I get you ready to estimate, I may send it to our company, but I may send it to some other builders as well, because you may match with another builder that I know better.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, just for whatever reason.
Yep.
And so maybe it's a difference between one builder does fixed price and one builder does cost plus, and you have a preference from that, and that's a very strong parameter for you. Then I don't want to send you to a builder that doesn't have the right, I want y'all to be able to meet on common ground before the project even starts.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you're calling and getting if I call you and say, "Hey, Cody, what's this tile shower going to cost?" What tile's going in it?
Yeah.
You know how much variation is there between like the cheapest tile and the most expensive stuff you put in?
Yeah, I mean, it runs the scale. There is no end in sight for it.
Right.
Yeah, it can go to, you know, like with tile, you know, we can definitely do it entry builder level grade. You know, they got tile for a couple $dollars a foot, but you know, then you can kind of get into whether it's a marble tile, whether it's the size of the tile. You know, mosaic's obviously going to be more expensive. Large format tile, and then you kind of get into, depending on what tile they pick, you have to use a certain type of setting material, things like that. It can change the game depending on what tile they pick, of how you know, in regards to how you prep the shower.
Yeah, you pick a 3 foot long piece of tile.
Yep.
And now I've got to float some things out a little differently than I did if we were putting a mosaic on.
Yep.
You know.
Exactly.
So the best quote matches what the homeowner's expecting to see.
Yes.
Okay, so if I've got a homeowner that comes in and says, "Look, I want to build investment property. Here's what I want it to do."
Yep.
The majority of my conversation is going to be about the return that they're expecting, or, you know, because that's going to dictate it. They don't care what kind of tile they have in the shower. They may not even care that the shower is tiled. You know, they want to know things like, yeah, am I going to have any return after I spend the money to build this, you know, based on what I'm going to invest? Am I going to have, you know, is this a low maintenance thing, a high maintenance thing, where I'm at on that?
Yep.
You know, those are some of the concerns. Where if someone comes in and picks, you know, high level marble or something, and that tile price just went up, you know, 900%, you know what I mean? Because if how much is my house going to cost? Well, you know, I've got 60 different trades to think about, and all of these different trades have hundreds of options. Right? So, like, if, you know, how long is it going to take? What's it going to price? And the easy example I go back to cabinetry. If you want pre-finished, prefabricated cabinets, it takes me 1 day to install them, and they're at a certain price point. If you want custom cabinetry, maybe, you know, up to this level costs this much, this level costs that much, if I bring in a trim carpenter that sets up a table saw in your living room of your new house with a stack of plywood and dimensional lumber, and says, okay, I'm going to get started. They may be there 6 or 7 weeks building those cabinets.
Really?
And then the painter and say you want it all stained.
Yeah.
Well, then you're sanding it, you're staining it, you're sanding it, you're sealing it, you're sanding it, you're sealing it. They may be there another week.
Yeah.
Right. So one decision that you made on your house took you from a 1-day project to a 2-month project.
Right. Yeah.
It took you from one price point to the other. So if my client is going to build investment grade property and they just want to quote, maybe we're working off of very general numbers, maybe we're working off allowances, but if you are building your forever home and you've got an idea about what you want this home, this is my budget and I want to get as much as I possibly can for my budget, then let's go out and get real prices.
Yes.
So my favorite type of setup before you send it to any builders, any contractors, any kind of estimating is exactly what are we estimating.
Yep.
So if I send you a full set of drawings, it's got the showers drawn out in it, where the niches are, where the benches are, and then I've got the selections. This is what they want here. This is what they want there. I mean, that's a detailed, in-depth meeting. Y'all have a showroom. Most of the times I bring the clients down there. The designer brings the clients down there, goes through everything together, picks everything out, and then they get to see an actual quote. Now, that's a contract agreement, right? That says for this many days, this quote is good. This is what we're going to be doing. This is the scope of work. This is how much we want to be paid for it. This is what our payment schedule looks like and how soon we need to pay paid, et cetera. This is how long we'll warranty the work or whatever it is. All that information is in an actual agreement versus, you got a $10,000 flooring budget.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So how many times in new custom home history does a client come and pick something out just to realize it's way out of their allowance budget?
It happens more often than not. Yeah. Y'all do a phenomenal job on that side of it, what you're talking about with your processes and stuff, because it gives them very realistic expectations. I've seen the other side of it, to where they're given just a monetary budget. And then by the time they get to the selection point, it's done way after that. You get some folks that are upset.
Here's a little behind the scenes for that.
Yeah.
If I know your budget's $300,000 and I just put together an estimate and I'm at $350 and I'm the builder, I don't want to present you that $350. I want to present you what you've already agreed upon, because then all that is, it's just the going through the motions of signing the contract, right? So the easiest thing to play with, without making phone calls and saying, look, we got to get what you don't want, we got to make the house smaller, the easiest thing to play with is allowances.
Yes.
Anywhere that you have allowances in your home building budget, it is easier on the builder to lower those allowances down. And then it is what it is. As long as you can get any tile shower for that allowance, then the builder technically hasn't done anything, under the table or anything.
Right.
But then you get there and you're like, there's no way I want any of these selections.
Right.
And what I want, we can't even come close to that. Yep. But I would have made a sacrifice on the front end and maybe made this room a little bit smaller or changed this. But now you've taken that option away from the homeowner because they don't realize that balance, that allowance number doesn't fit until they're ready to do the shower, and they come in and talk to you to finalize the selections.
Yes. Yeah, you can't go back and change the size of a room to get that cost down to be able to afford the shower. Yeah, it's a headache in that regard. The way that y'all do it makes it so much more seamless and so much more smooth in that regard. A lot of what I do is, whenever it gets to that point, a lot of my legwork then comes to, the builder's going to call me and go, hey, man, I'm going to need you to find something that looks like this, that is about half that cost, And so a lot of what I do is, trying to meet that homeowner's needs by saying, look, this is the one you picked. I've got this that's a close lookalike that we can kind of get to there. And we do a good job of doing that. But, it's so much better when the customer gets what they want and what they expected up front.
Well, and you're still doing it up front. Right. And that's what I tell people all the time is you're going to pick out all of these things.
Yes.
Eventually, you have to pick them out.
Yep.
Let's spend a crazy amount of time on the front end,
yes.
right? But it's hard. I mean, you start getting in an hour 4 or 5 of a selections meeting. They don't care what goes in their house at that point.
The husband's typically checked out.
Yeah, he's checked out. He's got some calls to make.
Whatever you want.
Or he knew better than to come in the front end.
Yeah.
But so but it's worth it. And we try to break it up. And a lot of times we do start kind of going through the motions at the end of some of these meetings, and then we show up at a showroom and the whole thing changes, right? That's perfectly fine. Let's do it on the front end.
Yes.
A lot of times it changes throughout the build. In no way are we saying you have to do it in the planning stage and then lock it in.
Right.
But where'd your budget come from? Exactly. Let's just get real selections, real contract agreements, as much as we possibly can, if that's what you're looking for. Yep. And then let's go through and confirm it before we order it, before and finalize those selections right before, that way you still get all of the options that you want to look at, but what you could get for that budget.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like for instance, with all of y'all's clients, man, y'all do all the pre-selections up front. We get you the numbers, and then once it's framed up and ready to go, then we'll go out, of course, to the job site, meet with them, and like the clients that y'all just were fixing to start, the dry specs, they came in one more time to finalize everything, make sure this is what you want, this is what you're going to get, yada, yada. So, just the whole process of it just works so much better that way. I've seen it be totally different and much more difficult.
Yeah, I think the front end work, and it's worth it every time. You talk about builders. That's a lot. Yes, y'all do. And a lot of contractors don't, but y'all's brand, you've got a showroom, you're right there off 105 in Conroe. People walk in your door and say, I want a shower. So y'all have direct retail clients.
We do. Yeah.
Which as a builder, that helps us a ton because you can talk retail. You can help that client. I got a tile installer with tools in the back of his truck. He can't really help the client go through all of those things. You say, well, where else can I get, like you mentioned, where can I get a tile like this that's a different budget that looks like these options to where they could maybe get they might like that just as much. I've had homeowners like the alternate selection to save money more than the original selection before, So what's a little bit about those relationships with the builders?
Well, one thing that's really good about that, in regards to like the way that our showroom is set up, what you were talking about, whenever it comes to, they're coming in to pick something out and if they got budgets or, for certain things. And one thing that's really nice about it is we've got pretty much everything there at our showroom, tile, carpet, wood, granite, everything. And so what's really nice about that whenever clients come in is, say they went over budget on their counters, but we were able to, okay, well, look, if you want this granite, you're $1,000 over budget there. Let's look at your tile over here and see if we can offset that cost. So that works out really well in regard to having that showroom with everything there that we can kind of look through, and that helps balance out the budget and stuff like that too. So you can kind of coordinate through there. So. Yeah. But what were you saying about the relationship with the builder though?
Well, that helps us a ton that y'all handle all of those different aspects because that's 3 contractors ultimately talking to each other without me having to organize that.
Yes.
Not that we don't, we'll bring in an electrician and a plumber and y'all, and we'll organize all that. But instead of having to bring a countertop guy, a sink guy, a flooring guy, and a different flooring guy that does carpet, and then the tile person and all that, you're handling all that for us. So that's a huge help. But it's what I was asking is as far as your relationship with your builders, what does that really look like on that side of things? For instance, if I came to you and said, man, I need to be like perfect builder, what's the perfect builder for y'all, and what does that mean?
Gosh, man, that's a tough one. I mean, honestly, I can tell you from my experience what I, as far as the builder that I work best with, and I know that this is going to be on your podcast, you know, it's gonna be biased, but honestly, man, like we've been talking about, your concept that y'all do makes our job so much easier in regards to that, you know. So and of course, the climate that we're dealing with right now when it comes to the economy and stuff like that, we've met prior, you know, to whenever COVID started going on, and you were anticipating and expecting the market to fluctuate up and down. There's the unknown that nobody knows about. And so you did a really good job of coming to me and Tide, and I'm sure you did with all your other trades too. And you found a way to counter that.
Yeah.
And to try to make that work. Because, you know, like pricing, for instance, on these products, it's changing
right
weekly a lot of times. And so it's been a really, really tough thing to try to offset, you know, and try to make sure that everybody is getting to their budgets and stuff like that. So like the concept that you created by doing that on the front end, getting that pricing and kind of finding out what their budget could be based off of what they picked in the front, you know, I have found you're the only one that does that. Really? All of my other builders, nobody does that. They are still doing it the old way.
Yeah.
But you know, we still make it work. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
But it just helps so much. You know, I'm having with my other builders. You know, I have a lot of meetings to reselect and to try to, you know, get it back to where they need to be and stuff like that. With the concept that you've created up here by doing that is gone. We don't typically have that at all. And so honestly, man, I mean, kudos to you, kudos to y'all, man, for what y'all have going on up here, because it definitely is working with the current situation that we're dealing with in the market.
Well, and with those relationships being so important to us, so right now, the demand on those that are out there working, just like we talked about trying to find style installers or builders even, the demand is so high right now that it's almost like when you come in and talk to a builder, they're interviewing you to see if they want to build your house. You know, it's the craziest thing. The most common thing that I hear is, well, you're the only one that's answered the phone. And I'm not saying we're the only one that answers the phone, right? Because I don't answer the phone plenty. But I tell them, look, it's a real problem. You know, they're out there actually building your house. It's hard to, you know, this is tough. It's so much work, you know. And I've got to not answer one phone call. Is it the guy that I'm halfway through building his house, or the one that we haven't started yet that I've never met? Yeah. You know, it's you kind of got to prioritize what your capacity is.
Yes.
You know, so we can only do so much. So the more fluid it's set up, and the more that we can help connect the dots for the homeowner, the more that we can actually do too, which is the better that we can get our pricing down, you know, things like that. The more we can help, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and that system, like, it's different every time. Sometimes somebody comes in and knows exactly what they want, and we just write it down. Sometimes someone comes in with some inspiration or some ideas. Sometimes what my ideas are that they like. Sometimes we come in, and y'all are great. You know, you help go through what goes together. You know, I've had times where I met up there and Susan came out and helped. Like, y'all are one big team. She is great about putting this with that, et cetera. But, like, I'm not the best at selecting what goes with what. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at me, I'm like, I could be colorblind. I got so little style. You know what I mean? So we bring in an interior designer that helps through all of those selections, that does all of that as well. So it's really just about, you know, what the homeowner is expecting and what they need. And then, you know, I may kind of guide them one way or the other if I know, hey, look, you really care, but you need somebody that studies this, that this is what she does every day is decide what goes with what and how and why. And I know so little about, you know, design and what goes together that my designer's going to listen to this and cringe just me even talking about it. You know what I mean? So
I'll tell you though, real quick, man, one thing that is a talent is being able to know or uncover what your client needs. Like you touched on that at the beginning. It kind of was getting on to another point, but that in itself, being able to sit down across the table from the homeowner, potential homeowner, knowing what they're looking for and being able to adapt to that and meet that need, that's a talent, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that are one way, rigid, they only do their way.
Right.
And if you don't like it, you're going down the road. The fact, especially with what we're dealing with right now, the fact that you are sensitive to what that person wants, and then you're able to meet that need. That is something to bark about for sure, man, because that is that's the talent that not everybody has.
Well, it's not just price and selection. Say the superintendent's ready for the tile, and he calls you and says, hey, they picked out this, and we need it in a week. And you go, oh man, that selection right there takes me 16 weeks to get, or something crazy like that. We run into those things, especially now since COVID.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, having the selection on the front end, I normally get a heads up saying, hey, this is about an 8-week lead item. Yep. I can get this one over here that looks kind of like it for 2 weeks, but it's priced up here. Mm-hmm. This one's a good price point. It's a good quality product. Yep. It's what they want. It's just got a long lead time. Yep. Well, dude, we're not going to need it for 3 months. Let's make sure we get the lead time. And a lot of times we'll have you come in, measure after framing. Yep. We've not done electrical, plumbing, insulation, sheetrock, drywall, none of that. Yep. But we have you come in, go ahead and measure so that we know nothing's changing. That shower size, unless we move a wall now. Let's go ahead and order that material. Absolutely. And we'll confirm that selection again and make sure they don't want to change anything. But lead times, price is one thing, how it looks is one thing. When can you really get it? That's a whole thing in itself these days, and maybe that eases up, maybe it gets worse.
Man, gone are the days where you get tile in 2 days. It's just not realistic anymore. It's every single tile, anything, wood, carpet, anything, every single product you've got to call and get the pricing, because it can change at any minute, and then you got to get the lead times on it, and then that lead time that can change 2 weeks later too. And so that's what is so helpful about knowing everything up front, your timeline on the job, when you're going to need it, and everything like that, because then we can prepare ourselves and order accordingly to be ready. Because like we were talking earlier, man, we're not the only company in there that's working for you. You've got other trades. And so, say your framing and your sheetrock gets done and I'm in next, but we didn't order right. And then we're waiting 6 weeks.
Right.
It's going to be a mad homeowner.
Right. And most of the time when folks come in, they're coming in to hire a builder. Our brand is, you get phone calls for what you do. Yeah. So if you build homes, those are the phone calls that you get. I mean, we build probably 70% of our homes or more are barndominiums. Mm-hmm. So the more barndominiums we build, the more barndominium phone calls we get. It's not that we don't build conventional framed homes. It's not that we don't do it well. It's just we do more of one thing so that, that creates more of that. So whatever you're out there doing well, they tell people, they see pictures, everything else. They want more of what you're doing well. So most people that come in, they're talking to us as a builder, but if they haven't figured all of that stuff out, mm-hmm. We're kind of split into two businesses really. Like at that point, let me move the agenda of being a builder out of the way and just become a consultant for you. Right. You know what I mean? Like at the base sense of the word consulting, what do you need in your drawing? Well, with what you want. If you had an uncle that was a builder that you could ask questions, what would you ask him about getting these drawings done? When your designer asks you questions that you don't really know, that they help you work through that. Yep. But then that can run into some problems with how is it built? How are you actually going to do those designs? The designer brings out what you want and what you want that to look like. Yep. The engineer tells you how you're going to build that. The builder is just building it for you or managing the people that are building it for you and getting everything, where it's the right order of events, et cetera. I come in and insulate a house and it's not wired or plumbed. How am I going to get all that in the walls? Exactly. So we handle the order of events, and then go look around for those contractors that we can know and trust and work with. But in that consulting phase, if we can put you together a package of drawings are done, engineering's done, site visits done, we know it's going to fit, we know it's going to lay out right, it's incorporating this hill or this view or whatever that is, engineering could require, soils reports and meeting testing companies out there and then the design and all of that. And then once we get all of that together, now we've got a really good picture of what the project's going to look like. But I don't know the type of texture on your walls. I don't know whether you want little flip switches or decor, the rocker switches on your electrical, All of those things matter, right?
Yes.
It matters to your installer whether that's a 12 by 12 tile or a 24 by 24 tile, when they're laying it on a flooring, or what that type of flooring is as far as what the subfloor is made out of, etc. I want porcelain in my upstairs bathroom. Okay, do we understand that we're going to have to put some type of backer board down, for this to actually be a quality finished project? So let's put together a complete specifications package, a complete selections package. If you're really looking to know what your house is going to look like before you start, let's put all this together. Now, of course, we're going to enter back into the conversation as a builder now, because now you're prepared.
Yes.
Now I know what your project is, so that your original question of, well, how long is it going to take you and how much is it going to cost me? Well, my next question is, well, what are we going to build?
Right.
So now that I know exactly what we're going to build and it's packaged with a pretty red bow on top of it, I'm definitely answering the phone now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm definitely engaged in the conversation now. You've done all your homework.
Yep.
All I'm offering is help you do all of that homework and show up to look like what the builder needs you to look like to really get you what you're looking for.
Yep.
And if we can move the builder's agenda out of the way just for that section, and there's different ways of doing that, then you're really armed to go out and look at other builders now.
Absolutely.
You've got the specs, you've got the drawings, you've got all that. Now you can actually price it apples to apples. So
it's a wealth of knowledge that they accumulate very quickly, and it definitely, because I'm sure you see it all the time, man. These homeowners, they're not in this line of work all,
No.
they don't know what's going on, and that's what you do with them by helping them kind of get that package together. That amount of knowledge that they're gaining up front, it allows them to go into it with a lot less of fear of the unknown, or hey, am I going to miss a step? Am I going to do this? And then it's realistic too. What they're looking at as far as pricing goes as well. They'll probably get a lot more realistic numbers together.
Yeah, so one of the most stressful things you'll do in life is building on those lists. Building a home always lands up at the top of the list.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got a big lofty goal of trying to get it off that list. It doesn't necessarily have to be if you have the right guide, but there's a whole section in the front end that I believe's missing in the industry.
I've seen some fights, man.
Yeah,
I've seen it all.
That's the last thing that we want to happen.
I just walk away, let them hash it out, man.
But man, it's so good to hear that it helps and it works, because we all focus on the client, right? The client's the reason for the season. They're the most important part of this, so they get a lot of the focus from your business model, from your marketing, from how you show up to the every little part of it, right?
Absolutely.
But if you were going to be a builder tomorrow, if I was talking to somebody, I've got a guy that helps me a lot in here, and he's a construction management major at Sam Houston. Amazing young guy, man.
Yeah. He came down to the showroom last time.
Dude, he's the bomb, right?
Yeah.
And so he wants to be a builder.
Yeah.
And I said, look, you're never going to hear this, but your subs are more important than your customers.
Yeah.
Like the partners that the craftsmen, the suppliers, everybody that you partner with to get this done is more important. And it's the concept of putting your own mask on first.
Yes.
You're in an airplane, masks drop, you put yours on, and then you help your kid, because you can't help your kid if you pass out, right? So they are what you're building. You're not a home builder. You're managing the project. You're helping getting all this across the board. I'm not saying it's not a valuable service. It's not a big component of building the home, but they are, the ones that are actually going to show out for you, and they're going to be your brand. 100%. So if you work good with them and you protect them, they protect you, that relationship is the most important thing that you can do for the client.
100%.
So I probably say it wrong when I say, they're more important or whatever that is, but the relationship is the only way you can get them what you're really wanting to get them.
Yeah, just like I said earlier, kind of the same concept at our place. We can sell it all day long, but if we don't have the right installers to do the work, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. Kind of the same deal, it's like you were saying with the right trades. We have to have the right installers, because that's what keeps the doors open. That's what makes the magic happen. You can sell it all day long, but if you don't have the right guys to do the work for you, you're in a bind. just be working for free, man. So,
yeah, man, and builder relationships can go both ways. A relationship's a relationship, so there's such thing as bad relationships, you know. So if you've got kind of a toxic relationship with the builder, but it's working well enough that you haven't fired them yet, they're still not getting, you know, primo service. They're not getting the best pricing, you know. Like a PIA fee is real, you know. So I may call you and ask you for something, but if I've been the hardest one to get money out of, or I make you come back and redo everything without, you know, and it wasn't really your fault or all that, I'm gonna start feeling that as well. And so a lot of times those bad relationships and the negative component, you know, negative aspects of it, whether it shows up in price or work or what, or priority or whatever, it's the homeowner that's really getting that passed through to them. You know. So, man, I think the relationship with the builder and the craftsman and the suppliers and the, you know, all of the vendors are one of the most important things.
You know, we work with a lot of builders, seen them come and go, and the ones that tend to stay are the most successful are the ones that understand that it's a working relationship. You know, we're in this together from the start to the finish, and whenever you understand that. It's just totally changes the game.
Not a transaction; it's a relationship.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's even after the job's done. You know, sometimes there's repairs to do and things that when you join yourself with a company and you know that you can trust that if there's a problem, you can call them and they're gonna get that solved with you. You know, it's just totally changes the game. You know, you'll get builders that they're just not that way, you know. They're just you're a trade to them, and you're not a working partner with them. It's just a totally different relationship. It works, but it's just not near as successful. It
works, and say the times change a little bit, and we are out there hustling up work because, you know, things have slowed down or whatever. Well, then now we're going to deal with a little bit more. But if your phone's ringing off the wall and you've only got so many of those quality installers that you covet so much, that you protect so much, and you're going to send them to either a job that you know they're going to be treated well and your company's going to be treated well, or another one that's tough, you know, man, I may just not have time to get to you today. You know what I mean? So that's real too. You know, it's really very simple when you think about it in just personal relationships. But when we get to business, you know, I hear, you know, well, that's just business. There's no such thing as just business. You know, it's just personal relationships. And this is what we're all out there doing each day to, you know, help other people so we can make a living.
The fab shop guys in the back, you know, I tell the new sales guys coming in all the time, you know, I'm like, you have got to take care of those guys. You've got to take care of your installers. You got to take care of them because you will get in a bind and you're going to need them.
Right.
You need them way more than they need you. And I tell them all the time, man, you better take care of those guys because you'll find yourself in a bind and, hey, man, can you help me out? I just kind of shake their head, man. No, sorry, I ain't got time. But that's you know, one of the main things that once you learn that to take care of your people, take care of your trades, man, it changes the game. It makes it much more easy for you.
That's funny that you say you need them. I mean, that's the way we feel as builders. We need y'all more than y'all need us. You know, driving to Houston and look for a roofer in a Home Depot parking lot. You know, there's 4,000 with magnets on their doors and a roofing hat on, a ladder in the back of their half-ton pickup. They're all using the same 8 installers to install these roofs. You know what I mean? You make the installer mad. You're not a roofer anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, man, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Man, this is the most fun thing to do ever, right?
I know. You need to get me up here more, man. This is fun.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I know it, right? So, yeah. All right. So how can folks get a hold of you at Simmons?
Just call Cody. Just call Simmons Custom Granite, ask for Cody, and if I'm not there, ask for Susan. We'll get you taken care of.
Yeah, y'all got a website?
Yeah, we do SimmonsCustomGranite.com. We're Facebook as well, Instagram, SimmonsCustomGranite.com, and then do it old school. Come on by and see me.
Yeah, you bet.
Show up.
Bet. Well, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it, and this has been great.
Sweet.
All right, hang on. Let's do another intro real quick.